Hello out there, this is Bo Svensson, and you are listening to TV Confidential.
Ed Robertson's a reminder that the next edition of TV Confidential will air next week on this station at the usual time. We'll play part 2 of our conversation with Mark Cushman about the career of the Moody Blues. In the meantime, most of you have probably heard by now that Bobby Sherman passed away last week. Bobby Sherman, the singer, actor, and teen idol of the late 60s, early 1970s, who became a teen idol in 1968 when he starred as logger Jeremy Bolt on the ABC Western comedy drama Here Come the Brides. Bobby Sherman passed away Tuesday, June 24th at the age of 81, a contemporary of David Cassidy and Donny Osmond. Bobby Sherman was actually studying to be a psychologist in the early 1960s when his friendship with actor Sal Mineo led Sherman to record singles for a couple labels, including Dot Records. The success of Sherman's singles eventually led to regular appearances on the popular ABC music series Shindig. You might recall that a few years back, Greg Ehrbar and I looked back at the career of Bobby Sherman, both in music and in television, as part of a segment we did on the home entertainment release of Here Come the Brides. We will replay that segment as we close out our program this week.
This was a cool show, and it's because it was one of the first, I don't know if it was the first, but it was one of the first hour-long quasi-situation comedy drama. It was a lot of things all in one. It was a Western, but it wasn't a traditional Western. It was funny, but it wasn't a sitcom with a laugh track. It was very Screen Gems, and even some music from Bewitched was in it.
Yes, I forgot it was. It is part of the. I think canon would be the appropriate word. Part of the great Screen Gems canon of the 60s, early 1970s.
Yes.
But a show that is often forgotten, or at least overlooked, because of Bewitched, I Dream of Jeannie, The Flying Nun, and so forth.
And it has music cues. There's one music cue in particular, is like this beep beep kind of little twink kind of sound that is, I wonder where it came, the chicken or the egg. Did it come from Here Come the Brides and you kept hearing it on Bewitched, or the other way around? Because it's on this show a lot. And then there's one particular episode where there's a little baby and they start playing Tabitha music. But because, Screen Gems would do that. No, they did a episode of Flying Nun with the prizefighter, the recently departed Ron Masak. And they used an edited version of the Dr. Bellows theme.
Really?
On
the Flying Nun?
From I Dream of Jeannie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, on the Flying Nun. And then on I Dream of Jeannie, when Roger had his party, they played Your Auntie Griselda. And occasionally they played that.
I remember that.
Carlos a Go-Go.
That's right, the mod
yeah.
party. Yeah, I remember that.
And you see, it was just like Hanna-Barbera. I liked playing Name That Tune. So I liked pointing at the screen and going, that's from McGill Gorilla. That's from Johnny Quest. It was the same thing with Screen Gems. You knew the shows and you knew the cues. And same with Sherwood Schwartz. It's About Time was using some Gilligan cues. You're so smart knowing those things as a kid. And Here Come the Brides was very much that.
Has there been a book done on the old Screen Gem shows?
That would be a really fun book to do.
That should be your next book, Greg.
That's a book right there. Thank you, Ed. Coming soon. Maybe sooner than 24. I don't know. because the Screen Gems shows, there are some studios, that had, and I didn't, you knew a Hammer horror film, you knew a Disney film of the 50s and 60s and early 70s, and you knew a Screen Gem show, just like you knew an animation studio that area when you flip the stations. And Screen Gem shows, they go to Samantha's house, sometimes, and you'd go, oh, come on, the Bellows live in Samantha's house. And they would use the fronts for Blondie's house, mm-hmm. I think, was Major Nelson's house and the Partridge Family house. It was, and the very famous house, which I think ended up on Desperate Housewives. So the lot was legendary as well. So, but there was a sheen to a Screen Gem show. There was a look to the art direction, to the costuming, to the sound, everything. And Here Come the Brides has that too. So yeah. And you had Dominic Frontieri doing the music, or Warren Barker. So the background music felt that. And so this was an hour of that. And so you felt at home watching this. And because it was 1968 through, it was 2 seasons through 70, it was a little groovy, because when something is done in a period, no matter whether it's a film or a TV show, inevitably it's still going to be, you're still going to see a little of the days of the hairstyles. The guys had the groovy hair.
Right.
The ladies had very similar do's of that they yet adapted for the 1800s, kinda. They were period dresses, but they were maxis. It was kind of that.
Stay with us, folks. We'll be right back.
This portion of TV Confidential is brought to us by our friends at Front Porch Realty, the community of realtors in the Northern Bay Area of California that is committed to finding the solution that is best for their clients. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or looking to sell or lease your property in Northern California, call Karen Strain at 415-886-7411 or visit frontporchrealtygroup.com for more information on how they can help you.
One more item: if you're starting a company, particularly one that is in an emerging market, you know that averting any sort of legal dispute is crucial to your business plan. Our friends at Tectonic Law offer an array of services that can help you avoid and preempt future litigation while also developing and protecting your intellectual property and intangible assets. Tectonic Law serves the needs of a host of emerging industries throughout California and beyond, including industrial designers, beverage makers, artists, farmers, retail stores, health practitioners, wellness experts, cosmetics manufacturers, nonprofit organizations, innovators in sustainable practices, and libraries. Go to tectoniclaw.com to learn more about how Tectonic Law can help your business thrive. tectoniclaw.com. Rock solid representation for groundbreaking industries.
Hi, this is Ann Archer, and you're listening to TV Confidential.
You're listening to an encore presentation of a segment Greg Ehrbar and I did a few years back, in which we remembered the career of Bobby Sherman, both in music and in television, as part of a segment we did on the home entertainment release of Here Come the Brides. Bobby Sherman passed away Tuesday, June 24th, at the age of 81.
What's cool also about the series is what you see a lot of, like Bobby Sherman, a lot of careers that became big through the show, and a lot of careers that became huge after, like David Soul. David Soul is not really given a whole lot. He has the thankless middle brother role. So while he is emphasized in some episodes, he is really not a standout character because Joshua is just not terribly interesting of a character.
Did David Soul do Here Come the Brides before or after Merv? I could look this up, but I'm going.
He did it well. David Soul had just he had come to prominence on the Merv Griffin show as the unknown singer. He was he was singing at the bag over his head, and that was his gimmick, which is kind of interesting because Merv was the mystery singer back in the day, because he used to talk about that on the show. Everybody was wondering, who is the unknown singer? And the woman came up to me, are you the unknown singer? And then she looked at me and was like, that's it? That's what you look like? And she was so disappointed. So obviously Merv may have had this idea for David Soul. David Soul's on the Christmas album.
Yes,
he was a regular on Merv's show.
Yes, he is.
Yeah. And also Bobby Sherman I believe it was Shindig. He was a regular on that. So Bobby Sherman was much more grounded in his fame than some of the team, like David Cassidy had to grapple with the fame and had more issues with the fame than Bobby Sherman did. Bobby Sherman was very businesslike. He was not a problem. The people from all the accounts got along well on the show. They were very supportive of one another. And Bobby Sherman's only issue was that he was busy because he was having two careers. So he was working weekends on concerts, he was recording albums. And then he got so famous that by the second season, there were a lot of shows that centered on him. There was, of course, some some tension about that because he wasn't the star. It wasn't overwhelmingly so, because these people were all pros and they dealt with it. You know, it was not like there was no horrible things on the set or anything like that. So he was Bobby Sherman's, and now I believe he's a paramedic.
Yes,
So,
you mentioned he was juggling two careers at the time. I forget exactly when, but sometime in the 70s, I believe, when his acting and music career was beginning to wane, he changed careers and he took a real-life interest in law enforcement. And I think he became a paramedic, and he began teaching paramedics, I think, to law enforcement divisions throughout Los Angeles. And I think he is either affiliated with one of the departments down here or he has some sort of honorary affiliation.
yes, the interesting thing is Here Come the Brides being a Screen Gem show, it's probably because of its period, it's the only show that Screen Gems did, unlike Partridge Family or the Monkees or even Bewitched or Genie, which, you know, they threw Boyce and Hart in there, and, you know, Samantha did her If-In song. They didn't cross-promote his singing career because he was on Metro Media Records. He wasn't on. So there wasn't a lot of cross-promotion. However, in one of the second season episodes, he sings a Monkey song from the first album. He sings a slow version of Take a Giant Step from the end of side one of the very first Monkees album.
Here Comes the Bride?
Which is kind of interesting.
Huh.
On Here Come the Brides, he doesn't sing it on camera. It's sung very slowly and romantically or tenderly over a scene. And it's like, oh my gosh, that's Take a Giant Step. And it fits the scene. I'm trying to remember now off the top of my head. I think it's not the episode with Meg Foster where she's the sight impaired person. It's, I know what it is. It's the Worker episode, Proud of. There's a young boy played by Mitch Vogel who has a difficulty dealing with things because he was abused by his father and nobody can get through to him. He's actually being treated almost like a circus freak at the beginning of the show. But Jeremy tries to, because Jeremy had the stutter, he identifies with the boy, and it's just like Annie Sullivan and Helen Keller. There's an extended scene where the two of them are in a cabin and he's trying to teach him, and there's hardly any dialogue. So Take a Giant Step is sung over the action later, and as they're walking through the forest and the boy's becoming more sensitive and come around, and you hear Take a Giant Step, and the lyrics actually fit. So it was like, wow, this is astonishing, and it's a Screen Gem song. That was the only time that I kind of did it, but that was a song, well, he may have recorded it. It may have been one of his albums, but I only have his Christmas album.
Okay, so that's one of the things you can look for as you enjoy Here Come the Brides.
Tossing and turning and freezing and burning and crying all through the night.
Season 1 of Here Come the Brides is available on DVD through Sony Pictures Home Entertainment, while Season 2 is available through Shout Factory. Bobby Sherman, the actor and singer who became a teen idol because of Here Come the Brides, Bobby Sherman passed away Tuesday, June 24th at the age of 81. We mentioned earlier in our segment that a few years prior to starring in Here Come the Brides, Bobby Sherman was a regular performer on Shindig. Our friend Chuck Harder adds that Bobby Sherman was the resident boy singer on Shindig. Among other things, he often performed covers of contemporary pop songs on Shindig, including many of the hits of the British bands of that time. Thank you, Chuck. Chuck adds that Bobby Sherman's success on Here Come the Brides led to a recording contract with Metro Media Records in 1969. That was the label for which he recorded his 4 biggest hits: Little Woman, La La La, If I Had You, Easy Come, Easy Go, and Julie, 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 Do You Love Me, all of which went gold, as did each of his first 3 albums from Metro Media. Bobby Sherman passed away Tuesday, June 24th at the age of 81.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go, and pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-222-0511. 800-222-0511. Again, that's 800-222-0511.